there is a food desert there. The most, the mom and pop grand grocery stores that were there 30 years ago are now closed, and they're liquor stores, and they have potato chips and soda. And they really just like gravitate towards getting their hands in the dirt. It's like so easy to get these kids engaged.
Yeah.
Like you hand them a shovel and they're like, wow, yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of it is about just like learning the skills, maintaining the skills, and like sharing the knowledge with other people in the communities. We say regeneration of the land, but like this continent was bountiful. There is a way of being, with nature where you can coexist in a way that feels bountiful.
You built the chicken coop?
Yeah, with leftover scrap from our job site. So
Cool.
we get the little pieces instead of wasting them. I've decided to not make a coop.
Oh my gosh, yes. So you work off farm full time, is that right? Okay. You both have off-farm jobs, and you do this. Wow. So this is your coop. Oh my gosh. And you have chickens then?
We have chickens.
Yes.
They have a run in the back,
Okay.
and they have a couple of friendly neighbors and a couple of unfriendly neighbors.
Oh. So how big is your plot here?
It's like 50 by 120,
Feet?
I believe.
Wait, 50?
One plot.
Oh, and then there's
One
two.
plot.
So
there's
100 by 120.
in 2021, I bought the.
So is that like what, a
side lot.
quarter
So
acre?
This was actually a side lot. Yeah,
So you did have this other part, and then you bought that over there.
that's correct.
Okay.
It was just an empty lot, and then it became available, and she snatched it.
Snatched it like a hawk.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and we just started with cardboard and compost. The city has a free composting program, so we brought in probably 8 just like pickup truckloads and made our first bed, and then it's just been growing since then.
When was that?
2001. Like
Two
we
thou-
literally started.
2021.
Yeah.
Oh, 2021. Oh, wow. So you guys are pretty new.
Yeah.
What, and you've grown this much.
And we went to the local bike shop to get the cardboard because of when they were so much
perfect, like
larger.
boxes.
What a good like source material.
Yeah, so we still use that at the market when we start new beds, because the bike shop's downtown.
Uh-huh.
So we were just like 2 blocks from downtown Lafayette.
Okay.
Yeah.
Louisiana. We probably should say that.
Lafayette,
Yeah.
Lafayette, Louisiana.
So it's like not even suburban. I would say it's urban, but it's a smaller town.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're kind of at the juncture of a lot of important community intersections.
You bought this on purpose with the intention of growing your own food, or why did you buy it?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So you kind of lucked into it, or accidentally fell into farming?
Well, funny thing, I guess. She was starting the farmer's market here,
Okay.
passing up and down the road each day, and she'd
I was
run into me
living
in
a
the
few
yard.
blocks over there.
She was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. I just bought this lot." She's like, "Oh, well, maybe we should make a garden out of it." And so I hired her, and then I guess about 4 months later, I asked her to move in.
Aww. A love that starts with gardening and ends with a beautiful relationship.
That's almost the truth.
Almost the truth. Okay, so we're leaving a few tiny details out, but that's okay.
But I mean, that's really that's really what was going on. She started the market the same year as I bought the lot.
Wow.
It was the second year. No.
No,
it
I
wasn't.
started it before.
Okay.
Yeah, we were like 4 or 5 months in,
Yeah.
and I was going back and forth because I was living over there. And then I came into farming pretty deliberately. She grew up
Okay.
with, like, her parents grew some crops and stuff. They have 10 acres in Opelousas.
You kind of come from a farm interest background.
Well, yeah. I mean, they did farm. I mean, they farmed during the Depression and everything.
Yeah.
else.
I guess it's kind of hard when you get a few generations back to find somebody who didn't farm.
Right.
Right.
And then Dad and he would plow big old plots in the back of the pasture, and we grew corn and purple peas, okra, sunflower seeds, carrots, potatoes. I mean, squash, cucumbers, tomatoes. I mean, you name it, we had it.
Yeah.
They still
Turnips.
have a really lovely kitchen garden, her parents.
Aw.
Yeah,
They just
grow
moved
a
it.
bunch of
It's
plants.
raised beds
Okay.
near their back doors.
Yeah, a little easier for them to get to.
Right.
Makes sense. Okay. So you started the farmer's market. You bought a plot of land. And then you both turned this plot into what it is. And you just started, like you're still growing.
Yeah. So
We
it's
sold
been-
produce in the first year.
Oh yeah, it was pretty amazing how quickly the city compost, like there were some things you could plant plant into it, and within 3 months we were harvesting crops out of the garden without any tilling or anything.
What an awesome compost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been kind of an organic process figuring out what this space, like both because we're both working full time, so it's like a very part-time thing. So it's been a project in kind of like figuring out the culture, the climate here specifically, and like what combinations I
Okay.
really like doing, like perennial, intermixed native plants, just kind of like having little ecosystems. And so it's gravitated towards dried herbs because
Okay.
we have a lot of shade and they grow just fine in the shade.
Yeah, because you do have a lot of trees around here.
But before that, and after she goes, I'll like talk through how I got into farming. But like I came back to Lafayette with the intention of farming. So when she, I'm always looking for more land to steward essentially. And she was like, "Do you want to start a garden?" I was like, "Of course, hell yeah!" I'm not gonna say there will be no situation when I say no to a garden. Except now, of course, it's like time. You're like, okay, well, do I have the time for it?
So
Yeah.
your full time is construction,
Yeah.
is that right? And then your full time job is the farmers market.
No, I work for a nonprofit.
Okay.
Doing like mostly office administration, but we put on events,
Okay.
outdoor recreation events.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then you fill the gaps here. What, I know you got to get going back to work because you're on your lunch break right now, but I'm just really curious, what is your favorite part on your property?
The tobacco plant.
You got a tobacco plant?
I do.
Let's see it.
That big lovely thing shooting
And
up
there's
at
almost a little patch now. I don't know if you've even seen the new baby. Here, watch this right here.
you. Yeah. And I
Whoa.
can show you the seed pod real quick. If I get fired, it's all right.
I just broke some of them in that patch of
So
soil.
this
down
is the
below.
pod, and then you open it up. You can store it just like this,
Okay.
and then you just break it open, and these are all your tobacco seeds.
Whoa,
These
they're
little,
tiny.
teeny tiny things. So,
So are you selling these seeds? Are you keeping them for yourself?
well, we do both.
We
Why tobacco?
I smoke it.
That's a good reason to do it, right?
Get
Yeah.
off the
Yeah. We're
the
trying
corporate
to do the natural.
bullshit.
Nobody wants to smoke the corporate ones. You want the real thing.
So we have it established, and then we went to the Grand Canyon, and actually there was a lady who was she grew up farming tobacco in Kentucky.
Okay. Oh, that
And
smells
so She was
delicious.
telling us that once the plant starts yellowing,
Uh-huh.
that you take like a, I guess it would be like a pitchfork kind of, but it's a 3-prong, and you stick it at the root, and then you just turn it upside down. And
Okay.
Let the plant dry for a
Do they
number
have
amount of
racks
days.
in a barn or something?
And then once it's browned, then you bring it in and you start like the curing process.
Of the leaf, because the leaf
Right.
is what is smoked and chewed, right?
Yeah. So I was working at Vermilionville, which is a historic village, and we would just hang the leaves between 2 sticks. I don't know. We're beginning to experiment with how to actually preserve it in a
Okay.
way that's, safe for use. Right now, though, we're just trying to grow a patch, and like this is the little baby bed.
Oh, this is a baby one?
I'm standing on babies. Yeah.
Ah!
Look, there's one over there. I've been trying to just encourage the seeds all around here, but there's no teensy ones.
And then
How cool.
this is my second favorite, the Tulsi or holy basil.
Okay.
This is the one
Smell this.
she uses the most as a tea.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want to eat it. That's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
it's
pretty much
delicious.
Wow.
let the Tulsi basil fill in any gaps, and
Okay. Whoa. So those are your 2 favorite things, just because that's what you like to use.
yeah.
But I mean, we've got a bunch of cool things. I don't want to jump the gun, but
Please do. I know you gotta leave, so.
we have this wild. I can't stand apricots until I got
I'm gonna go grab
COVID,
a hat.
and then she gets dried apricots, and I'm looking in the yard the other day. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we have an apricot tree.
So you didn't like apricots before
I didn't.
COVID.
I
You got
didn't.
COVID, and now you like them.
Love them. Yep. So I'm excited. We have-
Okay. And this was native? Like you didn't plant this or anything?
So I actually got this from, I think it was called Knob Creek,
Okay. I know who that is.
Texas.
Mm-hmm.
They've created it to where it can withstand our climate.
Okay.
So that and the apple tree over here by my pumpkins.
Because it's typically too hot for them to
Right.
survive here. Okay.
So
Very cool.
created some new little, there you go.
Got the tag on it right there, huh?
Yeah. I can't even pronounce it.
I won't try.
No, I'm good.
Well, very cool. So what, other than using it for yourself, or maybe that's just it, what are your intentions with the things that you're growing on here? Because it doesn't seem like you're growing things at a big scale necessarily.
Right.
So is it just personal use or
Well, we're
identification?
trying to see what works, and actually, so like we change it every year. Like this layout was not the same as last year,
Okay.
and we focused more on vegetables last year. And this year, we're focusing more on herbs because it's easier for us to process, and it's more time efficient. And you know, the herbs.
There's probably a bigger
require less
market.
care. You know, sometimes the animals eat more than we can harvest.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, this is working for us right now.
Very cool.
The mission of our garden for me, because she kind of gave me free reign, and I took free reign maybe, where I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do all my experimenting, all my, you know, my background, I got introduced to farming not through any like family history, but through volunteering at it was called Potawat Community Garden
Okay.
in Humboldt County. It's a farm associated with the United Indian Health Services. So there's, I think, 6 different indigenous tribes up there.
Okay.
That have a farm that grows like traditional vegetables, organic, but they're also, you know, trying to preserve and their cultural foods.
Okay.
Well.
Okay.
And they also had an orchard. So yeah, I learned about farming there, just volunteering like twice a week for a full season.
Okay.
And then I got a job for a season on a female-owned CSA, also in Humboldt in Arcata. So a season on a CSA growing diversified vegetables for essentially market.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have like 160 members.
Wow, that's pretty big. Awesome.
So it was really fun. It was. I learned a lot about production on that level.
Yeah.
So like at Potawat, I learned more about just like the balance.
Yeah.
And the, you know, kind of like diving into the lack of access to healthy foods. You know,
Yeah.
in particular, they don't have access to salmon and other things that traditionally. But
Yeah.
hopefully they're winning back. They just destroyed a dam up there in the Trinity River to encourage the salmon to come back. So.
Okay. Cool. Stuff going on where you kind of started and you brought that cool intuition, innovation here.
The perspective of like, you know, Louisiana is ground zero for a lot of things that are wrong with society, that are going to be wrong in the future, you know, as far as like climate change and our legacy of slavery here and things like that just have this like lasting kind of negative impact. When I started getting into farming, it was like a lifestyle change. It was like a different set of priorities, like an abandoning of priorities that I had previously held, you know?
Yeah. Like what priorities?
I think like we say regeneration of the land, but like this continent was bountiful, you know, when we got here, because the people who were here actually cultivated nature. Like they allowed nature to be strong and bountiful.
Right.
You know, and so there is a way of being, you know, with nature where you can coexist in a way that feels bountiful, like nature is providing for you.
Right.
You know? And I saw in y'all's video about like getting the burnout, you know, and like the growth and the hustle. And so like I think my mission is like really to try to figure out what is that cultural balance for us individually, you know, of like, so I'm not a market driven gardener.
Okay.
Like I said, I worked on a farm that was a pretty good operation. When I moved back here, I pretty quickly got a job at Earthshare, the CSA that you'll see in it.
Okay.
You know, so I was an assistant, and then about 3 years in, managed it for about 9 months. So definitely like learning the seasons here. And we were producing for about 20 families.
Wow.
I was the only staff person.
Oh my.
On an acre and a half. So,
wow. Through a nonprofit doing this, right?
Nonprofit,
okay.
Yeah. So I was paid. It was almost like being a minimalist and whatnot. It was like I could scrape by, but I was putting in way more hours than I was paid for intentionally. Like, okay, how much can I do?
Right.
Also having kind of a stubborn idealism as far as like human powered. You know, like at the time I had never used a lawnmower. I'd been living in California in like apartments, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, I couldn't even like mow the edges if you wanted me to. But anyway, so it was pretty successful, but mostly I learned the seasons and whatnot.
Okay.
then I got the opportunity to start this and the farmer's market, and this being right out your door, you know, I put way more time into this, but I still have minimal time. You know, like there are
Right.
lots of weeks that I don't even walk out here. And the goal is to create a garden that is like primarily food for us, but yeah, hopefully stuff for market. Right now, the dried herbs are the thing I'm bringing to market.
Okay.
And I process small batches, just like kind of constantly. So they're kind of mixed everywhere.
Okay.
And
So you do more interplanting.
lots. So this, like you said, the Tulsi basil kind of fills in all the gaps.
Okay.
I just planted, these are like baby carrots.
Oh,
There's cilantro that's popping up, just mostly volunteer. This is an asparagus patch.
Ah,
Couple
yeah.
of years in, I'm hoping to like let that whole thing be asparagus. So this is moringa, which grows really well here. It's actually been through a few like light frosts and.
Is it a tree or a?
It is. So it is. It kind of spreads through rhizomes, I guess. I'm not
Okay.
sure if it's a tree. It's an herb that has mostly like a nutritional supplement kind of a value. I'm not a very good herbalist, so I won't know the details of like.
I don't really
But-
smell anything.
Yeah, and
Ooh, I do on the stem.
it's a little bit nutty, so it kind of can go savory or in tea. So people put it in their soups and stuff like that. We get a lot of pregnant women who hear it's not very pungent right now. It's probably because it's
Getting colder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the
7-Eleven.
summer, it's probably very strong.
yeah.
Oh.
It's actually common everywhere. We call it monglier. It's a Creole remedy. So
Okay.
indigenous people and Creole people make a tea out of it that's really good for boosting your immune system and respiratory issues. And it grows wild everywhere. So
Okay.
it's also, we have one at market too, and we try to teach people to identify it so that they can harvest their own
Yeah.
wild, because it's definitely bountiful here.
So it seems like you've got like some walk paths here, and you just like throw mulch down and then let the plant sprout up as it goes.
I definitely am like a chop and drop. Like nothing gets moved very far.
Okay.
So like if I weed, sometimes I'll make a pile, let it dry, and then use it as mulch.
Okay.
Almost in the same spot.
Yeah.
That area I need to do, but so yeah, like I'll probably like flip this pile over somewhere that I need to kill a bunch of weeds, like maybe right behind it.
Okay.
And then the soil underneath will be my new bed.
Gotcha.
And it's just a kind of a constant.
But you're not exactly like killing like you're not sanitizing the soil underneath it. It's not getting that hot by using just some of that brush. So the seed bed's still activated. Like I see, like, is that a marigold over there, or like that little flower over there?
Yeah, that's a what do you call them? Mexican sunflowers. There's a big bush, a stalk that's dead is part of it too.
Okay.
And I definitely let it drop seeds. That I say that I would kill that because I know they're gonna come up anyway. Like
Okay.
on the side.
Gotcha.
I'm not trying to kill it, but
It would, when you move that pile, it would probably
yeah,
die.
if I was
Gotcha.
looking at like where am I gonna move? A pass through here, you can almost always find something to harvest a little bit of. This is yarrow.
Ooh.
Here. Yeah, I have a few patches of this that are pretty well established. Oregano back there. So it's like things that, you know, I guess like any kitchen garden would hold space.
So this really is like a full kitchen garden. Like you've just got stuff out here, you identify it, you know what it is. And
Every single thing out here is a useful plant. There's almost nothing that isn't.
Okay.
That's tarragon. This is sage, chives. Those are all carrots.
oh yeah.
This is mullein, which again I'm trying to encourage to get this whole spot. Although I've planted beets there for some reason. There's beets all over the place. I try to get as many beets as possible because
Do you have bad soil?
no,
Okay.
are beets good for bad soil?
They break up hard soil.
Mostly just because they're good for market and they keep well in the ground. Good. I've been trying to figure out like what vegetables I can grow with the time restraints I have and the conditions of the garden. And
Okay.
carrots and beets are the winners. It's like, you know, if I can't get to them one week, they're still good next week. you know?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yes, and I can harvest, you know, just as much as I think might sell. If we have a big market day, I'm like, ooh, I think we're gonna have a lot. I'll harvest a lot. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm kind of leaning hard into the carrots and the beets this year.
Your tobacco.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. So I said I would talk about this wormwood, and it's kind of this is an eggplant mixed in front of it. and
So it's this, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
So this is wormwood. I guess I probably saw it at a plant sale and was like, of course I want wormwood. Why would I not?
That sounds like an awesome name.
Yeah, and just vaguely being like, I'm sure it's a medicinal.
Uh-huh.
But it has been, so it's not a tea that we would consume, but you can use it to make absinthe. So now Lauren is like convinced we're gonna make absinthe. We haven't done that yet.
Make a what?
Absinthe?
What is that?
It's an alcohol.
Okay.
Alcoholic beverage.
Okay.
Yeah. And very, very strong.
Sweet.
But I love the way that it handled our summer heat. You know, we had a lot of drought and a lot of, and so I'm interested in it just as a, like so far this thing has been indestructible and has been beautiful 365 for 2 years.
So it's
the
pretty
only
hardy of
thing
some sort.
I can say that about in South Louisiana.
Sweet.
Like, you know. Okay, so now we get into kind of what are like the just herb beds, and yeah, as you can see, nothing's really straight. It's all kind of organic. That drives Lauren crazy.
I
To me,
I
was a
like it.
process, but it's just, this is the home garden. I mean, the model is kind of happening the same at the market, where it's like, it's a wandering garden. It's a
Right.
opportunity to like discover things, you know?
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
invite a lot of kids to the other market, so I hope that it matures into something like this, where it's like, you know, a child can walk through and feel like they just discovered something awesome.
Yeah, there's always something new to look at. Just everything you've got going on. So at your place, you don't have a lot of experience growing. You've been there for 2 years. Does it feel hard some days, like having all of that sitting there and you can't always go to it, since you both have off-farm jobs?
With the market, absolutely. Like, I would give all my time, because it really is about doing better with the land, you know, and so much of that would be establishing more species, having more diversity. Yeah, I could spend all my time between that and the market and maybe another garden or something, but as it is, you try to just maximize what you can do. And the market, you know, it started as a market, but it's becoming more of a farm demonstration site. We're actually going to be applying for grants this year, kind of towards that goal, like urban micro farm demonstration. We're going to register as a farm. I haven't actually registered our plot as a farm, that's why we're like, how many acres is it? It's like, well, I didn't know that.
You're not calculated in acres yet. Okay.
You know, we're going to try to push harder on growing on site, mostly for educational purposes. So the story between the market, and Nicole will tell you this too, but it all started with a program called Grow Louisiana, which was, so at the time when I was managing the CSA for Earthshare, a year-long program. It was a cohort of Lafayette beginning farmers, and I met a whole community of growers. I really am a big fan of those programs, but particularly I met Nicole and Kevin. They were in the cohort, and so we got the opportunity to start this market and started it together, the three of us. So it kind of like made a pivot, and my energy that I would have spent growing, like, because I'm so close to it,
Like physically, in proximity, like we just walked here.
and because Nicole and Kev already had their own farms going and started, you know, like Nicole and Trey, her partner, are growing at Earthshare, but they have a turmeric business. I mean, I guess at the time they were just beginning to have a turmeric business. But yeah, so my primary focus is really about this space, and it's not yet a farm. I hope that this year I get to actually get my hands in the dirt and make this a productive space. But up to this point, it's been about building it as a market. So we have, this is what we call the Fresh Growers Collective, and our whole community of growers, plus just any old backyard growers, brings whatever they have. So even if I'm just harvesting like a couple of small baskets from my garden, I bring it here, and it, you know, gets mixed in.
Because your motto is grow the grower, right? Isn't that what you said? So you don't care how big, how small these backyard growers are. It's about educating people, not only where their food comes from, how to grow it themselves, and buying local.
Yeah, we have, we sell a lot of food starts. We have a free seed exchange. That's what that table is. We do sell seeds sometimes, but a lot of it is just given for free. Conversations about growing with the customers is a big part of, you know, and then they know that, like, hey, if you want to grow and try to scale up and push or whatever, bring some, you know, sell it here, whatever you have. So we have, you know, mostly our friends who are actually trying to be full-time professional farmers are who brings us vegetables.
Okay.
We do get, what we really love is like people who have fruit trees or something. We have a lot of citrus here, and so if you have a fruit tree full of citrus, it's probably often more than your family
Right.
wants or can handle. And
Yeah.
so usually in the winter we have like a ton of citrus. So the seasonal things that are just bountiful in town, trying to get those here to the site.
Yeah.
So it's a constant trying to increase more customers, but also have more food available. Because right now we have kind of a shortage of local growers. There's just not enough.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so we got a grant to build those gates. It was just a chain link fence, and so now we can open that.
Oh, the wood doors over here? Okay. Oh, wow. That's nice. So this is where people enter the market.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful mural.
We just completed it in October, I think. Yeah. So we can open these doors, and this is the main entrance. So inside is really about growing for market particularly, but outside is more about community gardens.
Oh, so all of this out here is yours too?
Yes. So this is
Whoa.
like kind of parking in this area, and then there's a footpath people cut through on their way to the liquor store across the street. And so we've kind of honored that footpath, and we'll keep that. We're trying to expand. This is our newest bed. We have a like a tenant gardener. We have people who just claim little plots as theirs. This was a volunteer pumpkin patch 3rd year in a row. We didn't actually seed anything. They just reseeded.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
But we've been establishing native plants, and right now I think there's a cover crop in there.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
Community garden style, where it's like sometimes things get done aggressively and then abandoned for a little while.
Yeah.
And caught up again.
Yeah.
So that plot has some native plants in it, but is mostly abandoned. This one has a gardener who's managing it.
Okay. So if I was a grower in this area and I didn't have a good space to grow, I could come to you and say, hey, do you have a little place that I could, do like a 10-foot section and grow a little bit?
Pretty much the goal is to fill in like all of that area over there and this area that we're standing in.
Wow.
And then down the street, like there's a new apartment complex there.
Oh,
They're
okay.
building another apartment complex there.
So there's more probably younger people coming in.
And like density and people who don't have their own space.
Yeah.
So we're finding a lot more, neighborhood kids looking for a place to run
Mm-hmm.
and play, and they really just like gravitate towards getting their hands in the dirt.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get these kids engaged.
Yeah.
Like you hand them a shovel and they're like,
Absolutely.
So we have the Acadiana Native Plant Project donated one of their kits.
All the way in the back corner there.
So there's a lot going on out here that's like kind of got its own momentum and is where our hearts are, as growers and as people who just want to encourage people to like be aware that they can grow. It's a lifestyle shift. It's like taking control of your health and wellness. The vendors that we have sell a lot of wellness products like Mr. Paul's Angel's Ginger Water. It's a turmeric tea.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, lots of plants and seeds and stuff to get people going. So we're also a recycling hub. The city of Lafayette doesn't recycle glass, and so there's a small business that took it upon themselves to start recycling glass.
Okay.
Backyard Sapphire, and initially they built their own machine that could process regular glass bottles into a product like this. They sell it as glass mulch. It's like decorative and for potted plants and things like that.
It's like all over the
They've
floor,
upgraded
all over
their
the ground.
machinery, and now they can make sand. And
So this isn't hurtful.
no, kids walk barefoot.
What?
If it gets in your flip-flops, it feels a little pokey, but like it doesn't break your skin.
Wow.
And so you can see we are there's a service fee associated with the glass because you're helping start this startup
Yeah.
operation.
Okay.
Yeah. And so customers bring their glass, they pay a service fee, the market gets a small cut that helps us sustain the market,
Uh-huh.
and Backyard Sapphire takes the glass away and processes it into sand. We also have these
Wow.
so Taylor, who you met,
Uh-huh. Oh, for her cardboard.
this is her brown paper collection bin.
Wow.
We have an egg recycling bin for farmers, so when they drop off their eggs, they come back and pick up cartons. And it's just a
So it sounds like the area has a little bit of a hard time with trash.
it's about in the environment.
Sure. Yeah, that.
Yeah, that.
So how cool is it that you guys are able to just figure, I mean, look at
Such a
this.
good partnership. We're so stoked to like give them a space that works for their model. They also do a curbside pickup, like a subscription
Okay.
pickup. But yeah, this has been awesome. It brings a lot of customers to market who wouldn't otherwise come.
Yeah.
And once they get here and see it, you know, they usually come shop and everything. So yeah, it's been a really good relationship, and we're just so stoked to be part of it. It's a work in progress, always. So we're expanding the beds out here, and it doesn't look like too much right now. We're still figuring it out, but essentially, like, we have this big awning here.
Yeah.
But every time it would rain, the water would flow right back under the awning.
Okay.
And flood it. And so we kept saying, like, okay, we need gutters, we should get a water tank and all that, but pretty much like $0 budget. Like, this is all just like
People's free time.
yeah, people's free time, and, you know, like, not trying to go into any kind of debt, just building the business.
Yeah.
Instead, we started digging out a rain garden, and Andrew and Ann have donated like tons of native plants. So we've just been getting them in the ground as much as we can, and then digging it out. So like right now, this pretty much handles like a 1-inch rain event. We recently had like a 5-inch rain event. Definitely not. I'm gonna dig it out a little bit more, and then Kevin, who is a rice and crawfish farmer, is gonna seed some crawfish here, and we're gonna try to have a little like demo rice and crawfish.
Oh.
So that is really important because it's like something that's regionally relevant, where like a kid can come in here and play and be like, oh, that, like, I don't know how to harvest a crawfish.
Right.
I've not yet ever harvested a crawfish. Same with rice. I'm really interested in rice and establishing like wild rice fields. And Bruno has some experience with that, so that's going to be an ongoing project here that I'm really excited about.
That's really cool. So there's a couple different channels in here.
Yeah, so it pretty much can just, the water just kind of winds and then it fills up. That, we want it to be like a little bit of like a, almost like a wading pond. Like if you have your rubber boots on, you can walk in there and like
play in the mud and stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're doing a lot with the limited amount of free time that you have to better the community around you. And I love your motto of grow the grower, because I think that that just speaks volumes to what you're really trying to do here. Like, you're not trying to be a commercial farm.
Right.
You're not trying to be a huge CSA market garden.
Right.
You just want to show your community where their food's coming from, maybe teach them how to do it themselves.
And encourage
then-
the people who know. There's so much knowledge. Like, people
Yeah.
talk about being on their grandparents' farm. So it's also just about reminding you, like,
Where you come from.
yeah, you know this. Kind of like, okay, I know a lot of us got disconnected from land access, you know, and that it's really hard to get that back. But take the little bits you have, you know, and just like start where you're at, and we can all encourage each other. Yeah, very much about that. I think that for me, you know, it's like, okay, you can have I come at it from kind of like a bigger picture understanding, and it's like, you know, I was pretty deliberate. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to like be as involved as I can to make things better and minimize, you know, I was like a single adult professional in the gig economy, just like my strategy had always been to minimize my expenses, to be able to be really flexible and do what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know? And that's how I was able to work on a farm. And then when I got back here, work on the farm here, you know. It's really about encouraging people to, like, I don't know, be bold and do it together, you know, like find your people. So Nicole and Taylor and Camila and Johanna and Mr. Paul and Miss Pearl, like, you know, we come out here and we toss around ideas, and the farmers show up and talk, and it's very much about the community building something together, you know? And like,
how does the community respond to that? Like, I see a lot of people on their bikes, on their cars, outside.
Yeah.
How are they responding to an area like this with the farmers market?
So, to be completely honest, it's a very, very complex mixed bag.
Okay.
So,
The area that you're in.
and the response. And,
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like, so obviously, you know, like our landlords were like, we want a farmer's market, you know, like it sounded really sexy. So that was how the opportunity happened, was because we heard the landlords of this place wanted a farmer's market.
Okay.
That was it, you know?
Okay.
2 blocks that way is the shelter, now closed homeless shelter, but the diner. So it's the place to get 3 hot meals in town.
Okay.
The bus station is a couple blocks that way. The public library is a couple blocks that way. Downtown, you know, where they're trying to draw tourism and whatnot, is a couple of blocks that way. And then you know, as you head out into the neighborhoods up this way, it's like the historically lower income neighborhoods, historically black lower income neighborhoods, and there is a food desert there. The most, you know, the mom and pop grand grocery stores that were there 30 years ago are now closed, and they're liquor stores, and they have potato chips and soda, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very much also about like an intersection of like, you know, for our city to see each other face to face. It's okay. The name of the neighborhood was called Fightonville, and I'll tell the story because everybody's always like, Fightonville, why would y'all have why? You know, the story is that downtown, the city limits originally were just over there.
Okay.
We were just outside of the city limits.
Okay.
Of the original Lafayette or Vermilionville, I think it was at the time, and so they would step outside of the city limits to fight. You know, so it was like the
So the city cops couldn't get them.
They weren't
Okay.
under any jurisdiction. So
Okay.
this became, and it just became the name of the neighborhood, and it's what's been known through the 90s and through now. But to me, the reason when Kevin suggested it, I was like, okay, sure, if that's what the neighborhood's called, let's go for it, you know. But it's like, it is a place for us to all, you know, and I don't want to say confrontation, but a place to mix, you know, and this location is hard for a farmer's market because the traditional farmers market clientele are higher income people. So they're people who are already educated and aware of the value of the fresh organic locally grown produce.
Right.
They understand the economic implications. You know, there's a lot of like complex decision making because they can drive wherever they want and they have the money to do it. Mixed with literally foot traffic of people who don't have houses as our like primary foot traffic.
Right.
So we have a lot of engagement with the community. We know them personally. We have very few, you know, incidences, but there is commingling and then everything in between. So like our vendors, our producers, our farmers, you know, we get customers, and then outreaching to the actual people who live as residents in this neighborhood has been difficult, you know, because just getting the word out to them to know we're even here has taken a lot of time. So
because they're kind of, are they like head down, going where they go?
Sure.
And they're not really physically looking
and we're
at
only
what
open
people are
2
doing.
times a week. So a lot of times we get, well, I was wondering what y'all were doing, you know, like we
Right.
see that y'all are doing something here, but we didn't know what it was. And then they pass by one day when we're open, and it's like, you know.
Yeah.
So
Now I saw on your sign out there that there's the SNAP program.
yes.
So
we have,
you have that,
not
and
only
that is
but we have
awesome.
matching. So right now, the state of Louisiana and we started California had it when I was out in California, and for years and years they'd always had it, and so I was so excited to hear. We had been trying to find private financiers. You know, you essentially it's a 1-to-1 match, so it gets 50% discount for anyone using SNAP, and then also the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So so we've been able to offer that, which is awesome because it means the farmer gets paid market value and the customer gets
Half the value.
right. I'm like, we could feed ourselves with neighborhood gardens and not have to exchange $1.
Exactly.
But it just means everybody has to have it as part of their way of life. So, you know,
Great.
you know.
So you've talked about, you know, the foot traffic that you have here. People seem a little bit interested, but when people get in here and farmers are here with their produce and they can use their SNAP benefits to buy this delicious homegrown Know Your Farmer food, what's their reaction?
People are thrilled. The biggest reaction we have is honestly disappointment because we don't have enough produce. So we are trying to really right now make a push to support our friends who are farmers to be able to grow more. You know, we are at a pretty entry level market because of the volume, because it's not a high volume, and we have another market in town that is like really high volume. So a lot of times we'll lose the bigger vendors to the other market because they have to chase the money, which is totally, you know, I totally get it. So a lot of our vendors go to other markets in the morning and then come here in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And it's,
that's a big day for a farmer.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And so, you know, that's one of the reasons is like, okay, we are going to really push the garden side of this because it's definitely serving a purpose for the neighborhood. You know, a lot of, like I said, big apartment complexes, kind of urban density, low vehicular ownership, you know.
Yeah.
So we've started to see a lot of just people who are grateful for a green space and a space that they're welcome and feel comfortable. But
So in Fightingville, this is the safe space.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, and so, but yeah, people are thrilled to see fresh veg. Oh my gosh. Bumble Prairie Farms has been bringing big old packs of arugula and radishes and turnips, bunches, stacks of them, and people are thrilled. And there's a new bakery that opened, so now we have bread every market, fresh bread from the neighborhood. I literally rode my bike to pick it up. Yeah, so, it's just really just building tiny little baby steps, and it's like, you never know what your life, it's Nicole, Kevin, and I are all kind of like, well, we're here right now. Like, we know we're on a year-to-year lease,
Okay.
At any point, our lives could take big pivots, and this is a project that we're doing now. It serves us as far as just building the community, and like you said, same with my garden, just like learning the cycles of plants here.
Right.
Having been gone for 20 years, I'm not paying attention to plants before that.
Yeah.
So it's really just been 5 years that I've been learning the cycles here. They're very different from anywhere else I've been.
Yeah.
It's been a good space for that. It's
Awesome. Very cool.
yeah.
Well, I know that we will definitely be back.
Oh, I hope so,
And I
yeah.
can't wait to see how this farmers market grows and how the area responds. It is such a really cool message. And I love what you and Lauren are doing on your plot of land and the experiments you're doing, especially the tobacco. So thank you so much for letting me come down here and see all of this and just sharing your information with us. If anybody is in the Lafayette area and they are interested in coming here, being a grower, being a vendor, being a patron, how do they do that?
We're Fightingville Fresh Market. We're at 315 West Simcoe Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. You can email us fightingvillefresh@gmail.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram.
Okay, and we'll put all of that in the description below, and along with any other things that you find important, any resources or anything that you want will be in the description. So thank you again. I really appreciate it, Kim.
This was great. All
Thanks.
right.